misty watercolored memories of the way we were. I did not realize that I was recording. I know that I'm the producer of this here podcast and many other very, very successful podcasts that I really don't feel the need to go into as far as their names go or the people associated with them. But I did not realize I was recording when I was singing right there. But it's kind of apropos because tonight we're going to be talking about the movie Looper. And Looper is a movie. It's about some time travel and memories, which is that song that I was singing, made famous by Pat Benatar in 1932. I might have those facts mixed up. I don't know. Sometimes my imagination runs away with itself. So now I gotta go catch it. Here are the boys making up the dads that are busy, and they're doing the fantasy. Sci-Fi, they're doing the Sci-Fi. That's another one of my successful podcasts.
Busy daddies do Sci-Fi. Busy daddies do Sci-Fi. Busy daddies, busy daddies do Sci-Fi. Busy daddies do Sci-Fi.
You gotta be more careful than that.
Hey, why?
Because if you know my training,
dude.
Somebody just shows up, I'm liable to just shoot him.
All right. Well, look,
You got gold strapped to your back.
Yeah. Oh, I thought we were doing this in your garage, man. I didn't want to wake up the kids. That's why I was in the hedges.
I appreciate that. It's the frequency that you are in the hedges that I have a problem with. It's not just on days we record.
Now, are we talking literally the hedges or in the hedges, so to speak?
Metaphorically.
Oh, metaphorically.
Yeah. You know that, Kevin? Sure. Guy's always in the hedges.
In the hedges. Deep.
It's like takes Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. That fellow really knows where his towel is.
Doesn't he?
He dud. He dud it, man. Oh, wow. Boy. Little jumpy.
Mm-hmm.
Little jumpy. This whole this whole like being accountable to a massive amount of people on a consistent basis to record these podcasts has sort of got me.
I know. We've only been back a very little, and the mail is overwhelming.
It's things I am easily overwhelmed, so that would probably be why.
Sometimes just thinking about walking to the mailbox is overwhelming. I get it.
In this economy, absolutely.
Damn, you got to save energy. I'm like a koala.
What does that mean?
I don't know. Aren't they? They eat like one leaf, and then Eddie Murphy comes and saves them.
They're super, super peaceful.
Totally
those koalas,
peaceful.
very, very. You know those koalas? Totally in the hedges.
Totally in the hedges.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, speaking of over the hedge,
yeah. We weren't, but okay.
We're gonna kind of be, aren't
we? I hope you are ready for In the Hedges to take the nation by storm.
Mm-hmm.
Things don't take the nation by storm anymore, but I got a really good feeling about In the Hedges. We're gonna get that on a t-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In the hedges with a towel. A sopping wet towel.
How I found Kevin about a half hour ago. Right.
Did you notice that dude had a towel? Yeah. Did you notice it was soaking wet? What the fuck is that?
What is that? You would have thought he had some time to just dry off. You got to be careful when you're messing with time and your inability to manage it.
Well, in this economy, too.
Right. Of course. Everything is now time management. You know, we have both an abundance and a small, seemingly finite amount of it.
And a scarcity.
Right?
An abundance
That's what it
and a
seems.
scarcity.
There seems to be a little bit of an imbalance there. Sometimes I had a friend of mine who just had a baby not too long ago, and I asked him how you doing, and he said the time is moving slow, but the days are long. If that makes sense. No. It's reverse that. He said time is moving very fast, but the days are long, and that made sense to me. Like, the days are very, very long, but where the hell are they going? It's just.
Yes, I'm from that's the slow and fast. They call that a scarabundity.
Oh gosh, I haven't heard that term since grad school.
Yeah.
I didn't go to grad school.
Yeah, that's where you learn the over and the under and the inda.
The from under.
Yeah.
Yes. Kevin.
The
Kevin.
good old collegiate reach around.
That was the name of my fraternity.
The reach around.
The old reach around. Most fraternities go by Latin letters. Not us.
Not us. We're like the mighty Mississippi herself.
Unstoppable.
Unstoppable. Is someone going to let us stop doing the elephant dance? Oh, this guy's ass smells.
Hey, I got a question for you that just kind of dawned on me out of the hedges. Where did this movie take place that we're gonna? Was that ever clear?
No, I mean
a city,
Chicago-ish.
It was Chicago-y, you think?
Well,
Like Illinois?
You could get out to the farm real quick.
That's true. Yeah, you got the old chopping down the tree stump out there. Farm work, classic.
No, just why use a machine when you can smash an axe into a tree stump till your hands blister and keep going?
She seemingly had machines that were at her beck and call. I think that there's a shorthand there. We show her chopping, show her hands, lets you know, hey, this woman knows her way around an axe, but also she's a little self-loathing. She's doing this to the point of exhaustion and pain, seemingly for the service of some sort of internal spiritual struggle.
See, to me, I just saw that as there's a keeper.
Yes.
There's a keeper. Probably good around the hedges.
She can around the corn maze. She can wear thigh-high boots and knows how to load and threaten with a shotgun all in the same day.
Yeah. You can see right through her wiles. I don't think she'd shoot a man.
Her wiles were sheer.
Yeah. Just like the hedge.
Just like the hedge.
Boy.
Yeah. Kevin, I feel at times like I'm going in circles.
Yep. Right now. If you're not feeling it right now, let me tell you, you should be.
I'd be shocked if you're not feeling it right now. According to, we've only been recording for a few minutes, but it feels like forever. And that's how it feels for us. I can't imagine somebody who's voluntarily listening to this. I have been spinning round and round like a record. Right round. Baby.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. What?
It's funny. I thought I knew what you were talking about, but what dawns on me is that sometimes if I am away from home, maybe at a large event, and I need to use the porta potty,
Don't do it.
I might say I'm going to go to the shitter.
No. I will not. I'll be damned if I'm going to sit here and listen to you desecrate our segues. You've been muscling in on my territory for fucking weeks now, Kevin. All right.
Just hear this.
Going in circles had legs, and you did not let me continue with it. Instead, you're gonna pull pooper out. Is that what you're gonna do here? You're gonna.
How did you know?
Dip into your bag of half-ass Segway tricks, and you're gonna pull a pooper out there, presented to our audience as though, oh look, guys, George is incapable in this new volume of successfully segueing from point A to B in a clever way, which reveals the title of the movie or book or show what we're going to be, talking about.
Hey, could you just circle back around to that?
Did a loop.
That thing you were doing.
Did a little loop there. Looper.
Yeah.
Loops. What?
Well, one who does loops. What does that
circler.
make you? A circler.
Circler.
Right? A circler.
Like a juggler, but, usually a bit more overweight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Rian Johnson.
Yeah.
You know how he spells his name?
If you had to ask, it's probably not going to be with a Y.
No. No. He's the Rainmaker, only it's spelled Rian. He's the Ryan Maker.
Mm-hmm.
Rian Johnson is. I don't have a tremendous amount of filmmaking dislike for Rian Johnson. He made did you ever see Brick with Joseph Gordon Levitt? Sort of a modern day high school based noir flick. Pretty good.
Oh, that was a heavy flick.
Heavy.
George.
Yeah. Took me back to
Brick.
my own
Brick.
It was I threw it through a window.
You know who did throw that? Was that Patrick Rothfuss?
Patrick Rothfuss. Which
who
one? I made a doghouse in my yard with all the bricks that son of a bitch has thrown through my window. I don't even have a dog, Kevin. I just need something to do with all these damn bricks.
Well, it would have made sense if you said you built a brick house for a pig that your dog that you didn't have was trying to blow down.
Oh, that's pretty good. Bringing some fairy tales.
Well,
in. That's
or you
good
could say
because
brick shit house.
Vic wants us to get the younger audience in, so we should probably do a bit more parable and fairy tale sort of, start talking about Harry Potter or I don't know what kids' Adventure Time or My Hero Academia. I don't know. I'm an old man. So
That's MHA, buddy.
I watch Rian Johnson movies like Knives Out and
Knives Out.
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh yeah.
It's cute.
It was cute.
Not heavy.
Of course, Star Wars The Last Jedi. That's another one he did.
The Last Jedi.
Yeah, that's the one with the old Mark Hamill.
That's Skywalker when we find Skywalker on the cliff. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
And then of course
full of whippets.
And then of course he also did the movie that we're going to be talking about tonight, Time Cop. Fantastic flick. Pooper.
Speaking of In the Hedge,
Pooper is a movie. It's not Time Cop. It's Pooper, and it's about it's about a heavily made up Joseph Gordon Levitt wincing for about an hour and 50 minutes
with like probably a lot of like whatever cotton they put in your cheeks.
Yeah, no,
too,
without a doubt. I think they just said chew an apple and keep half of it in your cheeks. And I love that the big sell for this movie was, and the thing that I felt like kind of tried to elevate it to, hey, look how cool and different we are, was you've got Joseph Gordon-Levitt playing a younger version of Bruce Willis, essentially in this film. We are, of course, talking about not Pooper, not the place that Kevin goes to the restroom on a regular basis, but talking about Looper. And I got to tell you, this might be a pretty good podcast.
I don't know. I thought they're good when we both like it.
No, that's the reverse.
No.
It's the historically they're bad when we both like it. Here's the thing: I did not like this movie. And you want to set up the world a little bit?
Well, maybe George.
Maybe.
I'm gonna
Well,
withhold.
we could just
I'm gonna
we could
withhold
take a
my
little
setup.
break, do a little workout. If you want.
Yeah. I was just gonna say that I also like this movie, but it was funny in talking about it. It was sort of like, I know some people have had some kind of rough lives, and they always said it was a good idea to like begin doing cocaine. But then in hindsight, when they picked it apart a bit, they were like, that probably wasn't a good idea. So there was a euphoria. And then there was like, when I looked at it, they'd be like, wow, I spent all my paycheck, man. So as I reflected on this movie I liked, I was like, well, wait a second. Did it cave in or not?
Yeah. So when credits rolled, I was like, okay, cool, satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
Then in the goings on between credits rolling and head hitting pillow, I found a lot that I was just like, yeah, that was kind of just dumb. And that was really I know the word trope we pull out every now and then, but it was a big like stereotype. There's a lot of things. This movie kind of seemed to take a bunch of stuff that we've seen a lot before and toss it into one movie, but it surrounded itself with really cool ideas about a genre that I love, which is time travel.
Yes. So what we do have is a looper.
Time cop.
Someone who, what's that?
Time cop. Sort of.
No. Time. He's more of a Timios Crimios. He's a time crime.
Only,
Right?
without the poor stripping girl who ends up dead in Time Crimes. Yeah.
We'll get to that.
That movie sucked.
The looper is hired by the mafia and is told to show up in a place, and a hooded bound person appears out of nowhere, and he's shot with a blunderbuss type gun, and then the body's disposed of. And the looper is killing people who have been sent back from the future about 30 years, from 2070 to 2040.
Now, real quick, the one thing immediately that stands out as perhaps being a little sloppy is all of this is delivered by narration. Like, we are actually told all of this by Joseph Gordon Levitt in voiceover narration, which is just kind of like, it's kind of a lazy way to go about it. Like, he actually goes, time travel is not possible now. Will be in 30 years, immediately outlawed. The mafia is the only one who can do it. If they want somebody killed, they send them back in time to us, because you can't kill people in the future. Yeah.
He's pretty untraceable.
Yeah.
That's
I'm definitely Bruce Willis.
Yeah. It's funny though. Now that you even say that, this might have the almost the taste of the lone private dick, the guy who gets into places he shouldn't be, but perhaps he's not a bad guy, and almost noir in a way, which I don't know if it qualifies or not, but anyways, these loopers are an elite might not be the wrong word. They're a rare group of guys who live hard and play hard. And Joseph Gordon Levitt, who we will call JGL or just Jiggle from here on out, is one of them, and he's telling us a story, and he's living large. He's got a nice place. He saves his money well, and that's what he's done. He was given, I forget the line. What was he given by Jeff Daniels?
Put a gun in his hand, saw the path ahead.
And
saw the bad path.
gave me the life to live or something. I don't know, whatever.
I put a gun in your hand and changed it. You know, Jeff Daniels plays a man from the future who's been sent back in time to run this looper enterprise, who has also now taken it upon himself to dip his hands in a lot of different pies. He's from the future, so he has a lot of information that most people here don't have. And this is where the cool stuff comes in. And I get excited because I'm like, all right, I'm down with this. There's world building elements that I really like. There's an old school classic element to the mafia. There's the Gat Men, and then there's the loopers. The loopers have blunderbusses. The Gat Men have pretty much kind of like longer, old-fashioned Wild West guns, and they wear hats and black tunics and cool stuff. We're introduced to the concept of closing your loop, because eventually what will happen is a looper will outlive their usefulness. At some point, 30 years in the future, you will get sent back to yourself to get killed. Now, these people get sent back with a hood over their head, so you do not know who it is. Once you kill the person, if you open up and that back, the back of their jacket to get your payment and it's gold, you have just closed your loop, because normally you get paid in silver. If it's gold, they're basically saying, you just killed yourself from the future. Here's your payday. Go live out the next 30 years of your life, high on the hog, get into as many hedges as you want to, make sure you've got your towel and have at it. And we get to see that, which I thought was really cool. I thought it was cool that when the inevitable happens, and Bruce Willis, who plays Jiggle in the future, it's Bruno and Jiggle. And when Bruno shows up, we get to see Jiggle play out those 30 years and turn into that guy. And it's shitty for the most part.
Which was also cool. Yeah, he's a junky piece of shit.
Yeah, who runs out of his money and is forced into like a life of even more chaotic crime to cover his habits,
And then he falls in love.
And then it all changes. Bad guy straightens out because he lays in a hammock with a woman.
And she gets him. She helps him kick coffee, I think it was. He looked like he was going through coffee withdrawal, right?
Pretty sure it was coffee that he was injecting into his...
Yeah. And that or Monster. It was Monster coffee withdrawal. Don't know much about this stuff, but that's what I'm pretty sure it was.
Liked that he was a junkie. I actually thought that was kind of an interesting little aspect, that he's that they didn't hero him up big time. He's an all right guy, but I kind of dug that he had a lot of flaws.
Well, and that's Jiggle is dropping some sort of drug in his eye, and obviously has a taste for altering his mind, which winds up worse down the road. But after getting stable, he gets with the woman he loves. It's been 30 years, and the GAT guys come to take him away.
Which why? Like
why? Well, that's okay. So that's about closing the loop. I could say I want to close my loop, and Abe grabs my guy and sends him home, and I shoot him, and then I live on. Right. That's where, that's what kind of confused me a bit.
Didn't seem like there was anything going on where they needed to be sending people back from the... You know what I mean? Like there.
Well, that was a dump. So I think that was a solution to them not having any trace. if you have a time machine no one knows, it's the best way to dump a body. But someone has to do that manual work on when the time machine drops the person off. So it's still mob hits, but it's a body that's not going to make sense 30 years ahead.
So if we could explain for a second, just, you know, who we are in multiple layers here, because one of the things that we certainly are is we are Brucey dupes duping sex farm girls.
Brucey dupes.
Brucey dupes.
Mhm.
Brucey dupes. Duping sex farm girls. And that is essentially when I feel like this movie goes off the rails, is right after Bruno shows up and evades Jiggle. So now this is unplanned. You know, this is just like, this is bad on all accounts. This is not only bad for Bruno, who, you know, was sent back from the future to be capped.
Let me say one thing real quick. Now that we've got Bruno and Jiggle, are we discussing Over the Hedge, the animation movie?
What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to cut your hedges. You know, just sort of buzz the top of them.
Are you not going to acknowledge that Bruno was a character in a movie called Over the Hedge as a voice actor?
I'm not going to acknowledge that because I'm ignorant of it. No.
Really?
Yeah. And
Well,
as we both know, I don't acknowledge things that I'm ignorant of.
Yeah, no, that can't be true.
No. I've lived a very, very long and fruitful life in which, you know, a solid 1/5 of it has been good by not acknowledging things that I am ignorant of.
Yeah. See, I've been teeing you up here, and you haven't been running with it.
I keep on missing the mark. Huh? Wait, what is Over the Hedge?
I think Bruce Willis is a squirrel that's leading wild animals to get great harvests from suburban households.
That's just like this movie.
And then there's a mean, like, pest exterminator.
So basically Looper ripped off Over the Hedge. Yeah. Rian Johnson is a fucking hack.
Oh,
Over the Hedge. Is Jiggle in it too?
Maybe. If only we spent more time on this.
And Farmgirl? Well, we got a
probably
very strict no Google policy, Kevin.
They're probably scene for scene.
We can't do research. We cannot.
No, Vic is staunch.
Yeah.
On that.
We're lucky he lets us watch the thing we're talking about.
Mm-hmm. He'd like us to read it.
I mean, he's like, save your receipts. I have a stack of receipts about 8 inches high. I'm never going to see that money.
No, you just need to start browning those on your dashboard. That's a great look.
That's what happens when you give them to him. Eventually, they get so brown, they just kind of melt into the dashboard of his Pinto.
Yeah, you just park next to the hedges you live in.
With my towel.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh. So,
wow.
Bruno shows up, gives Jiggle the old 1-4, takes off. Because Bruno's got other plans. Bruno, I ain't coming back here and getting capped by the pooper. All right. What I'm here to do is to make sure that the Ryan Maker doesn't become the force of nature, force of evil that he becomes in the future. So in the future, there's this guy named the Rainmaker. And oh, by the way, let me just tack this on because it is literally this tacked on in the movie. About 10% of the population has telekinesis now. So just, you know, roll with it. And most people can sort of spin coins in their hands. Some people,
right?
Like I mean, that was just kind of okay. Like it just, you know, it didn't read to me as completely inauthentic or anything like that, but it was just sort of, oh hey, by the way, everybody, I don't know, maybe 10% of the people now can move things with their minds. Just hang on to that information.
Right, because it's gonna make it make sense.
It's gonna make it make sense later on. When we serve up a whole lot of obvious shit that will sort of ruin what could be a really cool movie.
Well, you know, about 10% of males suffer from erectile dysfunction, which is why we recommend here at Busy Dads Do Sci-Fi, Volto.
You're gonna want some Volto if you can't move it with your mind.
Volto. Sorry.
Volto.
Volto
That's fine.
is the name of our robot.
You were saying it in French, just like Jiggle. Okay, so there we go with the Jiggle is learning French because he wants to go to Paris when he retires. You part of being a looper is you get some money. It does lead to one of the best lines in the movie, though.
Oh, yes, Abe, the lead mafia dude, brings Jiggle in and says, "Hey, man, you kind of let one of our guys run when we were looking for him, and I just want to check in with you about where we're at because I kind of saved you. And how's the French coming? You still want to go to France when you're done with us here?" And he goes, "Yeah, France." And he goes, "Go to China. I'm from the future. Go to China." And it's a really cool thing. Yeah. I loved it. It's the kind of thing where these ideas are that just in one or two lines you get this like, well, what does he know about China?
Right. It's on the nose,
but the rest of the world.
It's great. It's fucking great. And had the movie been littered with like that type of creativity as it was when it was setting up the world, I even loved when we get treated to what happens when you let your loop run. So you get confronted. One of the loopers gets confronted with a guy. He's got a hood on, but he's singing a song that he knew when he was a little kid. And so the looper knew immediately, this is me 30 years in the future. And I've got a choice. I'm going to either kill myself or I'm going to let him go. And the guy takes off. So what happens then is that younger looper is brought in and they slowly start to take body parts off of him so that his older self is climbing a chain link fence and seeing like, oh, my fingers are disappearing. And now I have a scar on my arm with an address and I better get to that address. He gets to the address. And of course they cap him because that's basically all they're there to do. But they're cool ideas utilizing time travel as sort of a closed system. There's a very, very small amount of people that are traveling in time, and they're not going to see George Washington. They are taking pretty much a trip from one spot in the future to one spot in the past, and that's it. And with a very specific task. So it's kind of like it takes such a cool, wide open concept as time travel and brings it down to this like gritty mafia level. What would the mafia do with time travel? Okay, yeah, they'd use it to dispose of bodies from the future. It's kind of cool. Yeah.
Well, and that's, I think, who knows what else they're up to, but that I really appreciated that scene. Carve into your person in the past and you will get the scar tissue of whatever you carve in. And that's how you know. And that was very smart. But what's that?
Rainmaker.
Well, that's, we left Rainmaker. I want to talk about some other cool. I enjoyed seeing Bruce Willis confront Joseph Gordon Levitt, Gilles, because there was more reveal there too. And so it was neat to like watch Bruce Willis show up at the restaurant he always ate at, which I don't know, it was just sort of cool. Him knowing things when he gets close to Joseph Gordon Levitt, he then can kind of like know things in advance about him because he's in proximity with him. So he like knows that Joseph Gordon Levitt has a gun fixed on him. And it just seems strange that Joseph Gordon Levitt wanted to eliminate Bruce Willis. So Bruce Willis has to get 30 years into the past, so that his girlfriend he fell in love with doesn't get shot by the people who come to take him away. And that's because the Rainmaker is this holy terror in the future who's closing all the loops and stopping bad guys from doing their thing. So Bruce Willis wants to come back, and he's been given a clue or two about the identity of the Rainmaker, this holy terror. And it turns out to be birth dates and a
hospital code
about a hospital, which produces then 3 addresses. And good old Bruce Willis, who cleaned up his act and fell in love and watched his girlfriend get shot and came back in time, wants to eliminate the Rainmaker so that does not happen. And so when you find out that those addresses are the addresses of children,
right,
one of which is going to be the Rainmaker, it does get interesting because
we've got a Sarah
homie's
Connor
going to just kill whoever's in his way. What did you say?
We've got a Sarah Connor thing going.
Exactly.
Where, the Terminator knows her name is Sarah Connor, doesn't know which one, so I have to kill them all. Mixed with a little bit of like, if you could go back in time and kill Hitler as a baby, is that an okay thing to do? Can you still say I'm a moral person because I killed a child who may grow up to be a genocidal maniac, and so that's kind of what this reformed bad guy's mission now is.
And his point to his younger self is, you're scum, you're a fuck up, you don't deserve to influence my actions back here in your reality. I'm going to clean this up and we're going to move on because you don't know shit right now. And Joseph Gordon Levitt's been saving up his money and is like, that's bullshit. I'm going to kill you, man. I need to get you out of the way. They fight. Bruce Willis gets 2 addresses. Joseph Gordon Levitt gets 1. And Joseph Gordon Levitt gets the address that counts.
Right. And everything up until that point is pretty great.
Yes.
Like really, really good stuff. Because even the conflict between the two of them, I understand why Jiggle wanted to kill Bruno. Because he's absent that 30 years. He's absent like that. To Joseph Gordon-Levitt at that point, he's living right now. That's all he's got. He's got the job, he's got money, and he's got drugs. He's enough of a drug addict where we see he can't go a day without going into huge withdrawals. He doesn't have any of the experiences that Bruce Willis from the future have. So I understand that like his narrow vision is just like, I'm a looper. I kill no matter who they send back. He's a little obsessive about the money. So the gold strapped to Bruno's back is, that's it. That's going to coast me. That's there it is, man. There's fucking France. It's this semblance of like a better life that he's trying to escape without realizing that like this guy from the future has already tasted that better life. And it looks nothing like what 30 years ago me thinks it's going to look like. That whole idea of like, I don't really know what happy me looks like, but that guy does. And you're part of taking away happy me. So I'm back here to make sure that everything fucking goes how I want it to go.
And it's funny. There was a line that my wife remembered about Bruno meeting Jiggle in the cafe. Which, by the way, Jiggle gets Bruno to show up in the cafe by carving into his own arm the name of the waitress, who is Beatrice. And there is a really cool line because when Bruce Willis sees Jiggle there at the restaurant, he goes, there was a a waitress here that worked on the weekends named Jane or Jenny, whatever, a much shorter name. And there was obviously, it was clear that you can get those lines out of Bruce Willis, and that was fun. That worked. It was smart too, because of course he would have known. He already is showing kind of a dominance on this young shit that is himself. But I forgot where I was going with that though.
No, I mean, it's again an indicator of his experience, and like that he is sort of, even though he seems to be the one who's more of a destructive force, he is a bit more righteous.
But here's the line. Okay, so my wife was saying, isn't there a part where Bruce Willis just straight up says, and we're not going to talk about time travel?
Yeah.
In the movie, and like almost breaks the fourth wall.
Yeah.
Like, we're not even going to explain how this works. And I realized that we spent the bulk of this podcast in a way, while setting up the world, just sort of deviating into it. Right. And so it's funny because this is the entertainment and the stimulating stuff for me. And then you get those three addresses, you see where Jiggle winds up. And all of a sudden there's a lot of time spent on this child, and a little clues have been given with that telekinesis stuff. And you realize that he's ended up at the house with the Rainmaker to be.
There's
the Holy
no
Terror.
I mean, there's no, the moment we are treated to this, Jiggle emerges from the corn maze, and maze, which is funny. And there's this woman who lives in a farmhouse with her son. Immediately, okay, that there he is. There's the Rainmaker.
Right.
Something's going on with this kid. And we get a movie that is worse than I feel like it could have been. Because what I really would have loved to have seen was something more akin to the eventual discovery happening side by side with the destruction of this. Because we've got Bruno from the future having gone from scumbag to former scumbag, now willing to kill children, degrading back into scumbag. And I would have loved to have seen more of that destruction as he's going, and have and been surprised, then be just served up this sort of half-assed love story with a farm girl and her, too much to handle son. But I swear, if someone just gives me enough space and some luck, I'm really gonna wrap the world around this boy's finger. It was just, I mean, granted, I'm paraphrasing and maybe even being a little unfair there, but I just felt like there was so many, hey, remember this? Remember the down on her luck mom who's raising a kid who's a little too much for her, but if the world would just give us a shot, it got so ham-fisted.
With a little bit of too many secrets, and her stories don't match up, and she's hiding something, and just leave me alone, mister.
Right. And for really no reason, it was like, she's not really even, like, her deception doesn't even really make a tremendous amount of sense. I mean, granted, he's a stranger, but when it gets to the point where you can tell she's as in over her head as he is, and she's got this kid who, so 10% of the population being telekinetic, it seems that there is a very, very small percent that is like apocalyptic telekinetic, that can just like destroy the world essentially with their level of mind control. And the Rainmaker, this child, is that he's a force of nature, a destructive force that this mother is trying to sort of raise right.
Yeah, and that's when it just dropped for me. Then
entirely.
Then it was just a race. Who's gonna win? Who's gonna have a bigger gun? And so the mafia that's chasing both of them around, they're eliminated from the story, and it's just those two are gonna have to face off. And at one point, I was like, well, if Jiggle can kill Bruno, then maybe Jiggle falls in love with this woman. And the way the Rainmaker never happens is that he gets a healthy coming ups. So I thought they could have did that.
Well, I mean,
the Rainmaker is influenced by watching bad guys tear through his life, which clearly, almost gets corroborated.
I mean, he did this kid, when there is the quote unquote reveal, in which happens because he falls down the stairs. The child falls down the stairs and kills one of the Gat men who has come to his home. Now, it's a weird scene because the violence perpetrated on this Gat man is, it's not like it's not very deserved from the kid's point of view. Like he didn't really witness him doing much. He falls down the stairs, the everything just starts to explode, and this guy's innards come flying out. We learn that this kid had already done that to his mother's sister at some point in the past, that he accidentally murdered her. And he's not wrong. Like that this kid seemingly is like kind of shitty and doesn't. So I mean, Bruno trying to hunt him down and kill him doesn't really seem like such a stretch. Like,
there is a thing now, because if we start lining it up, we've got I called it another waitress in charge of a prodigy or some shit.
Yeah.
And then we've got the bad guy who's doing culture. That's homeboy learning French. And then we've got he just doesn't know how to control his power now because he's scared, which is how she explains that dude exploding in his house, because he doesn't know how to control his power, which I believe is another trope about
entirely,
the young and ESP-ish, if you will, right? So
if I could just raise him right, that whole
exactly. And he needs to learn how to control it. Because we've been setting large fires in every town we've been moving to whenever he has to get a bad Happy Meal treat.
Yeah.
And which, again, I can't name the movie immediately, but like, I know that's there. You're supposed to understand that about, and that's what I think happens is like, after the ideas here in this movie, I was played a hand, which I'd seen a lot.
Yeah.
And I feel like I kept going, what would Carruthers do here? Like, how do you make this one max out so that it's like, what? It's almost, if you think,
because what we end up getting is, we end up getting the idea that the thing that makes the Rainmaker is Bruno, boom, killing his mother in front of him, who then he gets away. He's got the telltale scar on his cheek, and he grows up to be a supervillain, essentially. So seeing that, and it's a callback to the thing that Abe mentioned to Jiggle, is that I looked at you, I saw the bad path ahead, and I changed it. Put a gun in your hand, gave you a purpose, and I changed it. So Joseph Gordon Levitt sees the bad path ahead, and he changes it. The way he does that is he turns the blunderbuss on himself, shoots himself in the heart. He is dead. Bruno from the future is gone. I guess, I mean, I knew it was going to happen. Like, I kind of knew, okay, as he's watching this whole thing unfold, that is going to be the course he's going to take. He's going to shoot himself. I guess I didn't believe that that was a solution. I didn't believe that that was enough to then completely alter the path. And then essentially what I'm left with is a little bit of like emotional dissatisfaction because I like that character. And so in a way, personally, I feel like I didn't get really any resolution. I feel like two characters who I kind of didn't like end up getting to live their lives. And two characters that I did like, one ends up dying and one ends up snapping out of existence. So, selfishly, I'm just like, well, shit, Ryan.
Well, and that's so again, as we watch this hand get played out, I wonder if he realized that because we were having fun, we probably wanted to see Joseph Gordon Levitt and Bruce Willis come out of the end. I mean, if you're going to wrap things up neatly in a Hollywood way, wrap their story up. But instead, like, the kid was despicable and I didn't really care. And I guess I'm just supposed to assume that that's all he needed to not be a horrible person. And again, I guess somewhere in some moral calculus, you would come up with, of course, the kid and the woman should go. But this is art.
I mean,
so fuck it up.
Yeah, well, and not only that, but it was sort of as we get into Bruce Willis killing children to save the future from a madman, I am not necessarily disagreeing with it. Like, he's already done the deal. He's already, and it's revolting to him what he's doing. But there's a universal good at stake here. From a science fiction standpoint, he's a soldier who has knowledge we don't have. And that knowledge means I get to save millions of people at the cost of 3 children's lives. Do I do that to the detriment of my morality? And that's the story. That's the story there. And what we instead do is we go more into the mother and son and the kid. Like, I mean, I don't know if despicable, I could have picked a better word because that's I mean, pretty perfect. I didn't.
But what so from Joseph Gordon-Levitt's point of view, Bruce Willis is just back here to selfishly get himself back into that life he finally came to enjoy.
Yeah.
And so he's not necessarily getting rid of the Rainmaker to save the lives that you just spoke about.
Well, I can see that there's conversations of just like, Jiggle says at one point, you're gonna by killing that little boy, and he says, "You damn right by killing that little boy." Like, there's a certainty to him that I felt like was not just, I'm doing this to save my wife in the future. It's I'm doing this because everybody, like, we get little snippets of what the Rainmaker was doing from the future on TV, and it looked like World War III. It looked
blowing
like
up cities
burning.
Yeah.
So I mean, in a way, it's sort of, I was on his side.
Which who did Brightburn? Was that
Brian? James Gunn.
James Gunn. Jimmy Gunn.
Oh, Jimmy G.
Jimmy G. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I call him Pistol.
Don't you?
I do.
Pistol Burn.
I call him Old Palm Strike.
Mm-hmm.
Pew.
Yep. Well, so it would have been cool if you were like, "Oh, that's Rian Johnson too," but it's not, is it?
Not the Rainmaker, no, man.
No,
the Rainmaker makes rain. He doesn't. The Brightburn's fire. Rainmaker makes rain. Evan, you got to get on board with the Rainmaker, man. It'll make your hedge grow.
Yeah.
What you really want. My hedge My hedge is so full, I have trouble putting my pants on.
I bet you do. Well, it's really confined underneath there, and some of the greenery is very dense.
I strap it in. I need to wear bicycle pants underneath my regular pants. Kind of keep it compressed.
Yeah, they call those Spanx, buddy.
That's what they call them in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all.
Don't wear that on your head. That's a spank.
I believe that was a bulk of Jiggle's makeup. He just wore Spanx over his face.
There was it. You mentioned when we were doing the notes section that there was a point where he just looked uncomfortable, and so
It's painful.
it probably is fun if you're a young man and they're like, dude, you're playing Bruce Willis 30 years younger. So like do the Bruce Willis thing. And no doubt about it, just given
I bet it was a
Bruce
blast.
Willis, that'd be cool. But it didn't play right. He had kind of like painted on eyebrows, and then and so
he was doing lots of like
in the brow, like you gotta wrinkle the head.
There's an old Ben Stiller show where Ben Stiller plays Bruce Willis in Die Hard, and he's like slightly made up, but it's Ben Stiller doing Bruce Willis, and so I felt like I was watching Joseph Gordon Levitt doing Ben Stiller doing Bruce Willis the entire time. But there's still really fun stuff, like I love one of the first scenes we get is Jiggle is looking in a mirror and he looks at his hairline, very concerned, because obviously he's going to end up with Bruce Willis's hairline. The first full body shot we see of him, he's got pretty much the Die Hard uniform on. It's like a white tank top. And there are some scenes, especially that shot at the end where it's close up on his face. There are some scenes where I was like, they did a good job there. And then there's others that are just like, oof, like shot in the face with a makeup gun and just
exactly. You know what I thought though is where were the people who made Dark? And I wondered that across the board. Dark made me think like, are people just not looking as hard when we need to do this in Hollywood? Because whatever the hell they did, I don't know if it takes too much time or whatever, but there's an actor out there who probably looks like Bruce Willis 30 years young, and the people from Dark could have done it.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing how many times, even knowing that they cast different actors in Dark for the different ages, that like even into the second season, I'd go, okay, but this one is definitely like Ulrich in the future is definitely younger Ulrich in makeup. Like that one is definitely, and it's not, like they just did such a phenomenal job casting 3 different age groups.
Yeah.
And yeah, somewhere out there, maybe that's our job. Maybe we'll find him and remake that movie.
Young, shot for shot, over the hedge.
Shot for shot, over the hedge, young Bruce Willis. We're going to find a Bruce Willis double and a young Bruce Willis double.
We need to find more Brucey dupes.
Gosh, that's everybody's dream, isn't it?
Brucey dupe.
Brucey dupes.
Brucey dupes.
Brucey dupes all over this movie, man.
Yeah.
He just duped it right out of. This was before Bruce Willis's like fall from grace, where now I feel like he's almost kind of a caricature of himself, like
is he?
I mean, I feel like when
I don't follow his Instagram, so I don't know.
Either. I bet he doesn't even have one. What a loser.
I'll tell you, I'll leave you with this.
You're gonna leave right after that?
Yeah, I'm out of here.
I'll wrap this up.
I came to LA and worked in the world of catering, and I got to see Bruce Willis annually at let's just call it a Studio Heads backyard party in Malibu. And I often saw Bruce Willis, and there was a pool in his backyard. And I more than one time said, I'm going to throw Bruce Willis in a fucking pool, man. And then I would also have other thoughts like, how quick, not can I kick Bruce Willis's ass, but how quick, if I punch him once, does he kick my ass? Because he looks pretty good. And I'm just happy to report to you that I have lived a small fraction of my life with the option to punch Bruce Willis in the face
Oh,
and just see what the hell happens.
gosh. That is probably more people's dreams than we realize.
Yeah.
Is the only thing's keeping a lot of people from punching Bruce Willis in the face is proximity to Bruce Willis.
Exactly. There's probably some people want to punch him in the face because they love him and they think he can handle it. There's probably the wrong guy. Whereas he's going to kick my ass. Someone's going to beat the shit out of him, being like, "Come on, Die Hard!
Come on, I love you. I
just
love
got
you."
this. Yeah.
You know what's great about like Bruce Willis is he's such an icon that there's so much like funny stuff. I love when like there's enough parody built around somebody to be, an entire thing unto itself. Like so many people have done Bruce Willis impressions and Bruce Willis like jokes that it's just this whole. It's just he's great, man. He is great.
Which brings us to who else we could have been tonight.
Oh, sure. I mean, there's
which was Bruce Dillis, Dodge's Selfish Fury. So
not a lot of people, strangely enough, know Bruce Dillis, but Bruce Dillis is the guy. He's always the second in line for Bruce Willis parts, and Bruce Willis just consistently beats him to the punch every single time. Mm-hmm. Bruce Dillis is an American hero. We were also Bruno Dangerously Dance's Sappy Future, and I remember hearing that Bruce Willis, like his friends call him Bruno, and I don't know why that's the funniest thing in the world to me. That there's like that Demi Moore probably called him Bruno for years.
Oh, I bet.
Uh-huh.
Back when he had hair to pull.
Come here, Bruno. You bastard. I'm gonna kick your ass.
That makes them a Brimmy.
I love you so much, Bruno. I'm gonna kick the crap out of you.
Yeah.
Come here, you future bastard.
Now, come dive in the hedges.
Come on, dive in the hedges. I'm gonna knock your ass in the pool. How I love that. The idea of being at a party and wanting to just there's Bruce Willis. Tonight's the night, man. Tonight's the night.
Whip off the tie. Fuck you. I'm out of here. I'm out of here.
It's worth my job, I swear to God.
Yeah, well, except we know your name, and he's going to sue the shit out of you. Yeah.
He will destroy you in every way. But you know what? Blaze of Glory. That's it. Mm-hmm. Blaze of Glory. I'm going to be that guy forever. You remember that party we were at, and that dude in the Metallica shirt underneath his fucking
ripped it open.
And he speared Bruce Willis right into the fucking pool.
I've worked with Ringo Starr at a couple parties annually too, and I was just like, I could be the Beetle puncher, man.
Yeah,
just punch fucking. He would always be sitting too. It would be such a horrible leverage thing, just bam. But instead, to Ringo Starr, I would just give him. Ultra. Obviously, you're not supposed to go be buddies with these people when you're busting their tables, but I would just give him ultra service. So I'd be like, "Hey, would you get another glass of wine?" And I would do awkward stuff like get my head as close to him as I could, so I could be like, I just got within like 10 inches of his head, dude, and just weird, like waiter reach-ins that weren't appropriate. And like
Ringo Starr breathed right on the crease between my neck and chin. He just breathed right there. He turned and he said, "Thank you." And it was the most beautiful thing in the world to me.
Yep.
Ringo Starr, I'm willing to bet he'd come at you. Like you wouldn't even have a chance.
He just put the choke on you. Yeah.
Yeah, he's wily. He's got some hooligan in him.
Mm-hmm. Or something.
I'm with Bruno though. Bruno's probably a puppy dog.
Bruins. Yeah.
Yeah. What are we talking about?
We're done. We're done, man. There's nothing. We
got everything out of this one. I think
someone's gonna open the door and go, "Aren't you assholes gonna go to bed soon?"
Yeah. Hey, leave me alone. We're talking about Jiggle.
Yeah.
So I mean,
yeah. Sorry, listener.
Sorry.
That was fucked.
Well, Come on back next time, and we'll be talking about Time Cop.
Yeah. Oh man.
All right. Good night,
Good
nurse.
night, nurse.